Switching daycare saved us $8,000 and almost 100 hours of extra time that we get to squeeze our kids at home every year. And we're sick less often. So here are the numbers of switching daycares. My name's Kirsten. This is my personal finance YouTube channel where I talk about the personal, the finance, our family, paying to get out of debt and working towards financial independence. And this is my video about how much we pay for daycare. I love spreadsheets, and I'm assuming that this is what you're here for on this personal finance YouTube channel. I'll do the personal part later, but here is the finance. For our previous daycare, our toddler was in for $315 a week. They increased the price to $330 a week over the winter. I was pregnant. We were planning on my infant also going there. It was $345 a week for her to also go. There was a tuition discount for the highest child, which would have been my infant. I think it was 10%. So even with the sibling discount, we would have ended up paying about $600 per week in daycare cost for the daycare that my girls were supposed to both go to 6 months ago. So story time later, but we switched their daycares. We chose a daycare that was closer to our house, hence more time with our girls at home, and it was also cheaper. Our toddler switched over, and the current price of the daycare is $270. It would have been $330. For our infant, it would have been $345, and at the new daycare, it is $280. They also do a tuition discount for the most expensive child. In total, right now, we're paying $515 a week for childcare. Seems asinine, but honestly, it's just normal to us now. The most important part to keep in mind here is we even pay for diapers and wipes at the new daycare, and it is still cheaper by over $100 a week to send our kids to this new daycare. $100 a week is roughly $6,000 a year that we are saving by switching our kids' daycare. Time is money, right? So the next way to think about this is our time. The old daycare was roughly 15 minutes away, sometimes 20 with traffic, and really it was only convenient for my husband to pick them up and drop them off on his way to work. Otherwise, it was out of the way for me. Our new daycare is 4 minutes away or one light. I could drop the girls off with my bike if I wanted to, and it's really equally inconvenient for us to drop off the girls on the way to school and pick them up. So 2 trips every day for the old school would have been at least, let's say, 40 minutes in the car for the girls every single day. That compounds. That takes away from time at home, and it takes away from sanity as well. Have you ever heard your kids screaming in the car because they need a diaper change or they need some water or they drop their book on the floor and you're driving and trying to get home and it's 5 o'clock rush hour traffic? Minutes matter. So let's talk about the difference. Let's say there's a difference of 11 minutes, and this is being gracious to the one that was further away. 11-minute difference between each of the daycares. There's 2 trips every day. That's 22 minutes a day, 88 minutes a week, 4,576 minutes a year. That's 76.3 hours every year that we got back with our kids because we switched them to a daycare that was closer. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing that matters, but you cannot tell me that having quality time with your kids isn't important. If you want to think about 76 hours in a more tangible amount of time, that's 3 full days of your kids not being stuck in a car seat in the back of your car. As a working parent who doesn't get to see their kids sometimes as much as the daycare people do, these kind of hours are sacred. I want my babies at home. I want to watch them giggle, crawl around, and play. I don't want them to be stuck in a car. So number 1 is money. We save about $6,000 having our kids switch daycares because it's cheaper, even if we are paying for diapers, which we were doing anyways. The time analysis, we're saving 76 hours a year of the kids getting to be with us and be at home than be stuck in the car. Here's the softer stuff, the personal side of personal finance. The previous daycare, which was bright and shiny and everything was new and clean, also had hundreds of kids at it. Each of the classrooms had like 12 kids, 2 teachers. They would condense the classrooms when some teachers would leave. So my daughter, my 2-year-old, when she was going there, was being exposed to tens of kids a day. That's not how you're supposed to say it. Maybe 30, 40, 50 kids a day she would be in contact with. And I don't know if that's the reason, but at the new daycare, my daughter has been sick like twice, and she's been going for 4 months. Whereas, yes, it was when she was newly starting daycare, but she was sick for 6 months straight. Went from an ear infection to strep to back to an ear infection to not sleeping to just having a fever. And then snot was constant, like a faucet. Absolutely disgusting. The interesting thing is too, if you just looked at photos side by side comparison, the one that we switched the girls to probably looks kind of ghetto. It's a 90s kind of building, low ceilings, fluorescent lighting inside, playgrounds have mulch. Old place, bright lights, high ceilings, floor was turf outside underneath the playground. They had big shaded like canvas over, much more flashy. But when my daughter hit her head last week at her school, the director went and got her herself and had her sit on her lap and eat her snack in her office until I could come and pick her up. That would not have happened at the first daycare. She's also woken up from a nap just like kind of fussy and not feeling good. Not for being sick or anything like that, but they let my 2-year-old go into my 6-month-old infant classroom and grab the picture of me and their dad off the wall and hold it. And they just said, yeah, she seemed to fuss less or cry less after the girls were together. And they send photos of us, or photos to us of them playing together on the ground. And that makes us so happy that they get to see each other and interact, and that the teachers know them both. And are just able to keep them together. And it doesn't matter how hard you try, you can't quantify that type of relationship and that type of care. And so at the smaller place, less sickness, less doctor's visits, you could put a dollar amount on that, that's for sure. And maybe I could do a video on that. But us feeling good about those girls being taken care of and getting to be together is priceless. I'm not saying that I would go back in time and change anything, because when I was first choosing a daycare for my daughter, I would have paid anything just to have the peace of mind that she was taken care of, and I wanted it to be fancy. Now that I have a little bit more experience with daycare though, I took the risk and sent them to a place that was closer, more cozy, and we're actually saving time and money and are really happy with the switch. Honestly, at this point, I feel like the only thing that we could do to make daycare better for us is to learn Spanish, because every single mommy at the school speaks Spanish. Is that true where you live too? I gotta know. Anyway, so tuition alone saves us $6,000 a year. And then when you think about that extra 16 miles a day, 4 days a week for 52 weeks a year, even if we go on vacation, is over $3,000 or 3,000 miles a year that we're saving. And that gets you to the extra $2,000 to give an $8,000 of savings by switching these girls to a daycare that's 1, closer to us, and 2, not as expensive. And if you think $8,000 isn't that much money, we aren't the same kind of person, or you just haven't had the same experiences that I have, because $8,000 is huge. $8,000 is paying off our car this year versus not. $8,000 is building up our emergency fund to a place where I feel we are actually safe and have less anxiety around money. $8,000 is a lot of money, especially over the duration of the years of daycare that we will need for these girls until they're 4 years old. If you took that $8,000 and put it in a high yield savings account, which with approximately 4% interest, you'd put in $8,000 for 4 years. It would grow $2,000. After 4 years, you'd have $34,000. If you put it in an index fund, let's say an average 10% return, you'd put in that $8,000 every year. You'd again have $32,000 at the end. It would grow over $5,000, and you'd have $37,000 after 4 years. $37,000, that's more money. That's substantial. So there's my argument. $8,000 is a lot of money, especially over 4 years. And we're very happy. We're very happy to keep that in our pocket instead of giving it away and giving away our time.